Welcome to another Expert Mart video. The purpose of this video is to give a short tutorial on how to capture or enter purchase orders at the main office or main license. We can also enter purchase orders at a store. That would be a purchase order where you purchase things only for that store. That purchase order can then be synchronized to the main office and used there, so that is also an option. But again, today we're looking at, in this demo, how to enter a purchase order at the main store. We also have a multi-store purchase order, which allows you to order for several stores at one time. But again, this video has to do only with a single store purchase order made at the main. We go to the transactions menu. Under there's a sub-menu for vendors, and under the sub-menu for vendors is purchase orders. As the purchase order screen opens up, we notice that it's very similar to other transaction screens within Expert Mart. If you know how to make a sale or an in-slip or an out-slip, then it will not be that unusual or hard to make a purchase order. There's a lot of fields that get filled in automatically. The employee's number over here gets automatically put with the number of the employee who has done login to be able to make purchase orders, Expert Mart login. That number has to do with the multi-store purchase orders, which again you're not going to change at this point. The origin store would be if you were making a purchase order at a store, then that store number would show up there. The date is automatically filled in for you, and there's automatically filled in a serial number. So the only thing we really need to do is pick for which store we're going to make a purchase order. In this case, let's say they're going to make a purchase order for the store Pacific. The next thing we would have to put in is the vendor or the company from which we want to order merchandise on this purchase order. We have the name field here is actually an index for the company names. There's you may find a little dash there. You erase that dash, and for example, if your company name starts with an N, then you can type in the first few letters of your company name. In this case, I'm only going to put an N, and we can go and pick one of these. We have, for example, two showed up here in our sample database: Nike Factory 9 West Canada. Let's say 9 West Canada, or once you have typed in something there, you can just go enter and get access to all the different vendors. If you notice up here in the address fields, as you flip through these manually, the addresses will show up so you have a better idea of which vendor you're talking about, and we're going to pick this one just because in the demo database it has a lot of data. If you need to enter a new vendor, you're going to make a purchase order from a new vendor, then you can either enter that first before you start making the purchase order in the vendor's catalog, or we have the option, as in most fields in most sub-catalogs or sub-forms in Expert Mart, we have this button that's a vertical, in this case vertical button gray with a right arrow, and that is our zoom button, which would open the vendor's catalog for us. And if we needed to, we could add the vendor here in the vendor's catalog. Once we've added it, we would exit with either the X mark or the door to exit, and that vendor would be put on our purchase order. Now on the purchase order, you need to have previously entered the styles or items down to the item level of the things, the particular items you would like to order from the vendor. You would do that. We have a video on the web of how to enter new styles and items, and you could look at that video to see how the styles and items are entered. Once they're in the database, then all you're going to do right here is select, just as if you were making a sale or any other document, as I've explained, and enter the merchandise that you want and the quantities, and obviously take a look at the cost that Expert Mart will be entering for the items you're ordering. Normally, the difference between point of sale is normally at point of sale, I would have merchandise and I could scan the barcodes and the merchandise would show up. Here I don't have the barcodes, so we can enter the first few letters, a letter or first few letters of a style. In this case, I'm going to do the letter G, and we have a Gabby or Guinevere, and I'm going to pick the Gabby style. But here you would get the style name, brand, department, and size run, and you pick the style, and then it gives you a matrix. Again, why this? Because for two reasons. One, you don't know the barcodes, and two, also you are going to maybe look at the mix of colors and sizes that you're going to order on this purchase order. So we can go down through here and say, well, I'm going to order 1 6 and 1 7 and 2 8s and 2 9s and 1 10, for example, in color red. And then come over here and say, well, on this one, I'm going to order 7 and 1 8 and 2 9s and 1 10 in color white, and that gives me a total of 12. So the advantage of the matrix here is, I just added the quantities looking at it in a matrix format, colors and sizes. These are the ones I want. We put OK, and that adds that into the purchase order. Now you notice that it's going to have a purchase order cost. That cost is taken from the styles catalog. There is a place in the styles catalog to enter cost, and it's going to take the cost and put this right in here. Now, if you're not happy with that cost, you can individually edit the cost on the purchase order. Edit one by one the cost here. But it might be easier, again, if you check your styles and cost before you go making a purchase order. And if you're on a single store machine, make sure you're going to run update prices after you do that. So we enter the merchandise we want. If we had a style that the style name, instead of being with a word or with letters, has numbers, then just remember that you're going to put an asterisk. And then, for example, if you have a style called 1050, which in this case I don't, but that asterisk is telling it I'm not referring to item number 1050, but style 1050. And that would give you, if it was found, again, this is not found here, it would give you a matrix for that style, and you enter the items. So so you're going to do all the entry of items, and we're not going to go in great depth in that because, again, it's the same for all the transaction screens. It's going to give you the total of items that you've ordered here, the total cost of your order, and then in purchase orders, sometimes vendors have kind of a complex discount scheme where they have one discount on top of the other. You're able to put up to 3 different discounts on a purchase order if you need them. If you don't, well then obviously you don't. And again, we can put either percentages or fixed dollar amounts of discount. Perhaps most important here is we have the delivery date that we can specify and a cancel date. A delivery date serves various purposes. One of them, and the people within our company will know when we are expecting what we have ordered. But also, quite often, for example, if your high season is the end of the year, Christmas, then often you may want, with quite a few months of advance timing, order for that time. You don't want to get your Christmas merchandise in October and have to pay it and sit on the cash all the way through, sit on that expense all the way through December to start selling it. So it's a way of also telling your vendor, hey, what I would like to receive this merchandise is on this delivery date. Cancel date, likewise, is also to, you don't want to order some summer merchandise and have it come in the last few days of August. So you're given a date range when you expect that merchandise to arrive, and the cancel date is say after this date, if it's not here by then just cancel the order. So those are 2 important pieces of information that you want to have in there. Generally, you want the cancel date to be after the delivery date in both of those dates. The delivery date could be today, but you want usually the cancel date someday after today. Then you're going to select the payment type, and you may want to talk to your accountant on that, but it may be COD as, pay upon delivery, but it could be credit, and you pick how many credit days. And put those in over there. Normally you will not have the credit on the left side, but on the number of days on the left side and the right side. And then you have notes, and the notes that you put in here, you could set up your format to print and send those notes to the vendor if you send him this purchase order. They could be notes for yourself. I've ordered this for a certain institution or a certain event. It could be, these notes will carry on when the merchandise is received. The discount prices and so forth from this purchase order will be pulled over the receipt. So you could also go ahead and put, as soon as these arrive in the store, display them in the front window or some instructions that you want to have. This is free, a free hand notes section here. You can write whatever you want to for whatever use you want to do it. And really that's all you have to do to enter a purchase order, is fill out all those things. And when you're done, you click F12, and that would print the purchase order and register in the system. And again, in this sample, we're doing it at the main office, and it would synchronize it to the store that we've told it that purchase order is for. I'd be glad to help you if you're considering buying Expert Mart, or if you need further training on this, or more in-depth training. We'd be glad to do that if you contact us. I hope this has served its purpose of explaining how to make a purchase order. Thank you.